Hello, my fellow foam flinging enthusiasts. This is Andrew, aka Dart Sweep, or Captain Shotgun. I don't know. Welcome to another very fun-filled foam flinging episode of the Foam Zone. If this is your very first time joining us here on the Foam Zone is a bi-weekly live streaming, essentially interview talk show where we invite guests all throughout the hobby, whether it be designers, club admins, HVZ organizers, anyone that has any passion whatsoever for the foam flinging hobby. We like to invite them on and do a little get to know you 101 session with you, just to share the passion for foam flinging that we all have. So if that is something you're interested in, please feel free to reach out to us. We would love to get you on. The list is ever growing, so we'll get you on eventually. But again, please reach out to us. Be on the Foam Zone. And of course, it is exclusively on the World Foam Alliance YouTube channel. The World Foam Alliance is going to be your central hub, essentially, to connect together, to register yourself as a player, register yourself for your club, find any local clubs, create a club, have general resources for supporting the club, crowdfunding, ticket sales. That's the overall goal. So eventually we'll get there. As you know, it takes a village, and we appreciate your support. So stay tuned. As I said, we're working diligently in the background to get all those things done. So I just want to welcome everyone again for joining us tonight. Let's see who we have currently. We got Go Slow Taco. It looks like Colin. What is Geo Zombie is in the house, and then In Focus Videos, I think, is my alternate account. I should probably switch off of that and switch over to the other account, but I'll do that in a moment. But yes, welcome. If you've not done so already, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone. We are building things here. We are building community. That's essentially my goal, the World Foam Alliance's goal. But as I said, it takes a village, and I think our guest for this evening is conducive to that message, and super excited to have them. We'll do that introduction momentarily. But yes, I had the pleasure of going out to Ragnarok October this past weekend. We'll discuss that as well with our guest who also was there. Lots of good stuff. Many thank yous to give out. So we'll talk about Rag in a moment. But yeah, let's talk about events that are coming up. It looks like it's going to be a busy weekend. According to my notes, the Goucher Invitational anniversary battle is this weekend. I think they made some announcements. I believe there's a Discord, so check online and check the different servers for more info. I know they were planning to make some announcements, and people from our area are in the Maryland area are intending to attend, so it's definitely a go. Also, this weekend is New England's North Shore Nerf War. I think it's a multi-day event again. If you haven't been there before, I think it's hosted by Bain and some of the New England groups there. So a lot of fun. If you're going to any of those, Goucher or North Shore, please take a lot of photos, lots of videos. I don't think we post enough or share enough. So make sure you take photos, videos, and share them everywhere. Love to see how those go. Also, November 8th, 9th, and 10th, no, or that weekend. The weekend of the 9th, 10th, and 11th, I think is what it is. I'm sorry, the 9th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. There we go. Is Battle of Endor weekend here in the Maryland area. So if you're interested in attending a mod party at Casa de Dart Sweep, please hit me up and we'll get you all set up. And then the main event is the Battle of Endor. 200, I think maybe 250, 300, depending the Raider Jericho locations being set up. So that will be happening at the Maryland Nerf Herders Old Field in the forest. Lots of fun, essentially Maryland's version of APOC. And everyone likes to dress up. It's Star Wars themed. We'll have music, raffle prizes, a lot of fun. So highly encourage, if you're available, come check it out. And then also Seth's Nerf's Fun is having a HVZ event. I was hoping to get them on as a guest to talk about that at some point, but we may not get a chance there. Time sneaks up. So look out for that. Hit Seth up on that. And Colorado, I think the Colorado HVZ group was having their big Halloween HVZ Invitational. So I think more information is regarding that. I ran into the guys at Ragnarok. So that should be a lot of fun. And then lastly, Survival Fest has made their announcement. I'm super excited. It is the weekend of May 22nd to the 24th. So mark your calendars. That may be Memorial Day weekend. So perfect time for traveling. If you're available, highly, highly recommend it. If you love good, strong, immersive, theatrical, good flavor, just really solid, fun HVZ, well run, great mod team. Definitely highly recommend going to Survival Fest if you have not done so already. And if you have, you already know. So let everyone know. Go to Survival Fest 2026, May 22nd to the 24th. Mark your calendars. It's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, they have a Discord. So follow them on socials for more information. They're always looking for volunteers, mods, and things like that as well. So again, takes a village, but super excited. Survival Fest. Woo! Yeah. So I think that is it for the events that are coming up. Let's see. I may wait. I was gonna share some blasters for. Well, you know what? I'll share some blasters right now. Actually, some stuff I actually ended up picking up from Ragnarok or my time. I actually told myself, don't bring anything back, pack light, only bring the blasters that you need. Of course, that never turns out or works out the way that you anticipate. So I came with, let's see, I think I just brought the blasters I intended to use for HVZ and for comp. For comp, I was intending to use the PP. Did not use my PP after I saw the comp. I got a little scared. I kind of wish I did use my PP now, actually, because it looked like everyone that did use their PP had a lot of fun. So more of the story, next time, maybe I should use my PP. Anyways, I did end up running Griffins and Moors. Griffin, top loading. This one's shooting around 200. I picked this one up at End War, actually, and have just kind of fallen in love with it. It feels really good, really solid. I didn't play that much comp just because I was a little over cardioed out from the day before, but my team went out there and they represented, and it was a lot of fun. And then I also brought with me the Free Runner, another blaster from Griffins and More. What can I say? Griffins and More having a lot of fun with your blasters. So thank you, Eric Ponko. Appreciate it. But yeah, I pretty much used the Free Runner for. Am I still on? I pretty much used the Free Runner for the duration of the HVZ portion, and then I switched over to my pride and joy, the Unicorn Riz Blaster Corn Riz by X-Shot, and had a lot of fun with this. I did not know it light up. Funny story. We can kind of talk about it when our guest gets on. But yeah, I saw this and had to pick this up. So This ended up being a lot more fun than it had any right to be. So really proud of this. And then, funny enough, right before I left for RAG, our friend Jacob from PKI sent me a Jericho, or I should say commission. I commissioned Jacob for a PKI. So if you're interested in, definitely hit PKI up for that. But yes, I haven't gotten a chance to play with it, but I can say it's worth it just for that. Like that. I'm really excited to get a chance to try this out. I don't have any Mega Darts available, unfortunately, or they're buried around here somewhere. So once I get a chance, I'll play around with that, figure things out. But and then we'll talk about it again when our guest gets on. But picked up this. This is the LR Fold by Tarek and Out of Darts. So essentially a little solo 3D printed DIY kit. That was a lot of fun. Oh, and then the shells for the Jericho are here, courtesy of PKI Jacob, and the different variations there. I got to find the print files for the Mega XLs. I know they exist. If you have the link for that or know any information regarding Jericho shells for Mega XL, send me a little DM, please. I would love to get those. And then I cannot take credit for winning, but Wonder Boy, one of our locals, creator of the Spirit, won one of the raffles at RAG and ended up with this gorgeous Fowler's Creations Halo Magnum. I think it's an M6. We were talking about it earlier, but yeah, I can't take credit for this. Won it in the raffle. Wonder Boy is like, I don't know if I can go home with this. And I said, I'll take it. And he said, here, take it. I said, oh, sweet. So thank you, Justice, a.k.a. Wonder Boy, for being a winner and being a friend. Thank you for being a friend and winning the Magnum. And haven't gotten a chance to test this out. I really like the the little slide push mag release there. It's pretty nifty, but super excited to try that out when I get a chance to. Should be a lot of fun. So let's see. I think that was it. Oh, and then Tonicles. Ton, so much. Thank you so much for gifting me. I don't know what I would do without this in my life, but we've been having a lot of fun with this. This is the Jumbo Nitro Dart, essentially. It's custom made, but silicone molded for the tip, and then pool noodled. I think molded for the foam, but it's got some weight to it. I don't know. We said we were going to allow it for throwables, but I'll be honest, I'd be a little salty if I got dinged in the face with that. So, but a lot of fun. I don't know how readily available these are. It's kind of custom projects, but there was some talk about showing up on some website, Etsy, things like that. So keep an eye out for it. Yeah, so that is all the fun stuff that I brought back and took to RAG. Yeah, so if you heard anything exciting, any blasters or anything like that you've seen or heard of, or that you got your hands on, go ahead and drop that down in the live comment section. Let us know if you've seen or have had a chance to have any fun. Let's see who we have in the live chat. Of course, we said hello to Colin, Go Slow Taco. And also creator of one of the Dart Sweepers. Stay tuned for more information and videos on that. We got Dread Pirate Roberts, the fourth, Vile Mods. Welcome. We got Andy Griff is in the house, Vesic, Ivy with Wings. Yes, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Foam Zone. Appreciate everyone turning out. Please give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Yeah, let's see. Ivy with Wings says the LR Fold is kind of crazy for how big it is. Yeah, so I don't know if it is HVC legal. Honestly, I haven't had a chance to chrono test it. But when you use it, it's got a nice little pop to it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to chrono test it at some point to see where it falls legally at our locals. Maybe too spicy for some things, but again, we'll talk about the LR Fold and some of the other fun stuff that took place at RAG when our guest comes on. Do a little recap, but I guess actually that's a perfect time to bring in our guest for the evening. Let's go ahead and welcome our guest. I had the pleasure of hanging out and traveling all throughout the Ragnarok weekend this past weekend or past 2 weekends ago. So we had a chance to really get to know each other. And again, I think our mission aligns, and I'm super excited to have them on and to kind of talk shop and kind of where the hobby is and where it's going, and just kind of the insight that they have just because of their experience and knowledge overall. But yeah, I shamefully have seen our guest multiple times at multiple events, not putting the face to the name or anything like that, and showed up to RAG. It was like, I think it was past midnight or close to midnight. Silver Fox, who graciously agreed to be our Uber essentially for the weekend, and it ended up being Ohio actually, but volunteered to chaperone or to chauffeur us around town for the weekend, and rolled into the hotel, and we little group there, and we were kind of just chit-chatting. And then the name Foam News Collective got mentioned, and then talking about what they have to do to get things ready. And then I was just listening to the voice, and I was like, I must be stupid. You're Grimz this entire time. I've seen you at multiple events, and I am just now realizing you are Grimz. Nerf works. Grimz, welcome to the Foam Zone. Welcome yourself, and welcome the Foam News Collective. It is very exciting to have you here as guest tonight. Thank you just so much for joining
What's going
us.
on, everybody? Grim here. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. I'm very excited to be on the show. And you aren't the only one to kind of do that either. Almost intentionally originally, because back in the day when I first did my content for a very long time, I had a balaclava style mask on. It was like a red kind of skulled balaclava for a number of years. And before that, I was just kind of interacting here and there as a name in channels under multiple ones, not just Grim, for a number of years before I kind of landed on that. I didn't start using that moniker, I don't think, until like 2019. And so a lot of people would kind of be like up at an event. They'd be like, wait, this sounds familiar. We'd go through a conversation, and then you'd see the light bulb click, and they're like, oh, you're Grimz. I remember, though, at 2022 Endworth, we were able to kind of tell it was me. But since then, it's been a lot of the time where it's like people don't quite notice. And it's almost kind of a blessing in disguise, because it means I can kind of roll up to an event, have some fun, and then it's after they realize, wait, you're that guy. Oh, I have so many questions. I was like, well, we're just about out of time. Peace. And I can kind of have my fun and kind of roll out. But it's been depending on where I am, it depends on as to whether or not you'll put the name to the face. But I never blame anyone for not doing so, because I don't really try very hard to go out of my way to make my face kind of out there and known up until recently, just out of necessity for FNC lately.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I think it's time that you get some recognition again for the contribution and all the hard work that you put into FNC. So it's great to actually be able to put a name and face to the voice at this point, essentially. So again, welcome, and we appreciate everything you do, and I'm super excited to talk shop and get to know you and to talk about FNC. So let's go ahead and just introduce yourself, and who you are, maybe a little bit outside of the hobby, a little bit.
So as far as me Grimz go, outside of the hobby, that's a tough one because at the very least nowadays, FNC kind of takes up like a whole other week of my stuff that I do on the day to day. Aside from that, I do love TTRPGs quite a bit. I'm very fond of D&D 5th edition. If anything, aside from my consistency with trying to ensure that FNC always comes out, my other thing I'm extremely consistent with is my D&D. I play D&D just about once a week with a good group of friends every Saturday. Outside of that, I have a good love for building computers. So I do that just kind of for friends every now and again. I've been helping Ryan of SFI kind of help Jesse, his wife, get some specs theorized out there. A couple other Nerfers I've helped with builds, and a lot of many locals I've kind of helped build with computers. As far as other interests go, I just do love a lot of gaming in general. So stuff like Halo, Destiny 2, Fortnite. Charles can have me on the Fortnite one there. We've played quite a lot of that. Just a lot of stuff like that. But a lot of my time, I would definitely say, is taken up with contributing to the hobby in some form or fashion. It's always different over the years, whether it be lurking or other stuff. But I've been around since around, I want to say I became aware or joined the hobby late 2014 or early 2015, somewhere in there. Somewhere in there is kind of when all this stuff started to a degree.
Sure. I mean, we can talk about that. How did you get into the hobby? What are your memories? I mean, what was it like back then?
So this is the thing that makes people feel old. So around then, I would have been about 12, so squarely in like the middle school range. So what got me into Nerf? So younger me was actually very afraid of much anything resembling what blasters do resemble to a degree. So the idea of Nerf blasters, if you showed me them in the toy aisle, I was disinterested. And then I got into Star Wars, and my very first blaster I ever had was some sort of Star Wars tie-in clone trooper blaster front loader. And I remember within about 48 hours, I had it taken away from me because I was little. This was like years prior to that. I shot my brother in the eye twice with it. No face shots. Face shots bad. You'll get in big trouble with your parents. There was a pistol dueling kit I think I got a couple years later, and I was otherwise not particularly interested in Nerf, but I had a neighbor at my father's new house who had a bunch of Nerf blasters, and he was kind of the take charge, we're going to be doing this today kind of person. So he just brought out a bunch of Nerf blasters, and he told everybody, all right, we're going to have a Nerf war. He's like, you'll figure it out, grab one. And he just had everyone grab ones. He had demolishers, he had retaliators, he had sped, like just about anything that was out at the time in 2014.
That's pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there were raiders. I think I grabbed a demolisher or something adjacent, and we had one. I had a lot of fun. And from the local neighborhood wars, he always had this favorite where he would get everyone to get retaliators, prime the blaster. Then you'd have to load a dart through the barrel and use a arrow that had its tip removed and use it like a ramrod and do Revolutionary War style line battles. At some point, he had a friend who had a couple acres and had foxholes in his neighborhood, or at his house, his private house, his friend's house. And we would go out there sometimes and we would go have wars out on that property. So you'd be in the middle of these like little trenches and you'd be doing your like ramrodding your dart into your retaliator, firing single shots at a time kind of thing. And he showed me, I think, a video of Drac Master very early on. And then I found Bobo. I'm kind of the person that does like a lot of my extracurricular research on stuff. So by the time we were doing a lot of these things, I had already figured out basically all of Nerf Tube and was already in the Nerf Haven stuff. I was in the HVZ forums despite not knowing what an HVZ was at the time.
You
I
went
kind
down
of
the rabbit hole quick.
I went down very quick to the point that for my Speedload 6, I was like, what's this containment crew place? They have this spring for my Speedload 6. I'll order that. It broke the Speedload 6. I was like, huh, they have for my Demolisher thingy. They're called blaster parts wheels or something adjacent. I don't know what these are. Those look cool. And then fast forward a long time, everyone knows Containment Crew. I don't even think they had made. I went down super quick. Things have just kind of spiraled from there, as to my involvement with the hobby.
Sure. I mean, what do you think was the initial appeal that kind of drew you in? And then what do you think it is about the hobby or blasters in general that's kind of kept you here and then kind of evolved you to where you are essentially our go-to for information about the hobby?
So initially it was definitely just kind of that initial adrenaline, wow, this is really fun. And I had kind of had a period where I just kind of was straying away from Nerf and we were moving over into Airsoft. And I remember initially realizing it was quite toxic. Because I was very briefly into Nerf, consumed all the knowledge, was trying to move over to Airsoft. There was that barrier to entry. I still very quickly. But the other thing was this is kind of more of a thing of the time. Back then, you had a lot more builds that were real steel looking as more common, and you'd have mod videos like that. And so I actually went back to Nerf, oddly enough, because I thought the ammo count was more realistic on Nerf blasters. But the other reason I went back and thing that kept me going, I think, I saw with the sheer variety of different things that someone could do with a Nerf blaster, whether it be making their own homemades out of PVC in a dream, or a long shot mod where you saw people epoxying metal on the inside of your bolt sled to make it more durable, or taking an exploder spring out, like this long shot. My first long shot mod. This thing has a not cut down so it doesn't catch right exploder spring. I salvaged out of my own exploder that you then would put into it to get it to fire. It doesn't fire particularly great because, like I said, it doesn't catch very well. But for the time, it was a neat mod. The fact that I could take a spring out of something I didn't have use for anymore and make something I loved a lot more potent was cool to me. The fact that you could do things creatively, there was content of all forms. There were HVZs. The roleplay aspect is there. You know, the invitationals. You had your not quite competitive, but you had your NIC and your super stock going on, and even down to people like putting straws into darts to make them more durable. The levels at which you could engage in this hobby in all forms was just fascinating to me as a younger child. Nowadays, I would say what keeps me here, aside from obviously the fact that I've been here so long, I just still love everything about it. My appreciation for things has, I guess, deepened, if you will. There was already a lot to love there, but as you've spent more, just develop this sort of attachment to it in a sense of, this is really cool. I've seen this hobby change from where we were picking motors off of eBay and hoping it worked okay to where we now have shops making dedicated motors with specs in mind. I was seeing on forums people talking theoretical science as to whether or not a canted cage would make your dart more accurate in a flywheeler, and what the theoretical cap of FPS was years prior. And now we're pushing those limits that we said that were previously impossible. We're in a nation, everything being very easily accessible. The scene has never been like more full of people engaging in different ways. So I think just the fact that everything I love is kind of been enriched in a sense, aside from, I guess, modding and the traditional sense. Obviously, aside from that, most things have deepened or enriched or has more layers, more things to love, more things to appreciate. And I'm still here. There's still things to love. The things are just getting better. So yeah, I think that kind of answers my why I'm still here and how I got a little.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think aside from the community and the inclusiveness and being able to kind of find your tribe and everything, the ingenuity appeal aspect of being able to, just paint something or slap a sticker on it and customize it that way, or 3D print something or design something completely, or just get something off the shelf. There's a lot of things. When I was talking to you over Rag, again, excited to have you here. And then one thing is your insight to the hobby, because you've been in it for so long, and the contacts that you've made, your observations. I'm not a visitor at this point, but I am a product of the pandemic, so I don't have as much insight. I don't know what it was like before. I don't know a lot of the dynamics. I've heard about them, but I haven't experienced them, and definitely not to the level and degree that you have. So again, kind of in our conversation, kind of hearing where the hobby was, and then kind of where it's going. It's super interesting for me to have that conversation with you, because again, I'm trying to build and grow, but you have to grow from somewhere. So again, fantastic. So tell us about or actually, let's go to the chat. Let's see if anyone's actually has any questions for us. Looks like Louis has joined us. General Strife. Oh, this is Captain. It's like I don't have a General Strife T-shirt. General Strife, hello, welcome, and welcome everyone else that is joining us. Yes, we have none other than Grimz on from the FNC as our guest for this evening. If you have any questions, comments, want to say hi, just go ahead and drop that down in the live comment chat. I'll make sure that we will relay the message. But yeah, let's talk about kind of your scene and kind of where you've had the opportunities to play. I know locally sometimes it can be challenging, but obviously you've gotten a chance to get around and have some fun flinging foam. So tell us about where you play and kind of your scene.
So at the very least, kind of like you alluded to, there is, my area has always kind of had the problem of, you have the embers and the initial spark of something kind of interesting happening, and then it kind of fizzles out often. So it's kind of a perpetual like start of something, and then it never kind of continues. A small couple players build together, I show up. It doesn't last for long, but I have been able to attend wars locally. There have been a number of places that have risen and falls. This might ring a bell for some people. I believe it was called was it Dart Wars? I think Dart Wars. There was a local arena that I used to go to all the time. That was one of the places aside from my neighborhood group that I would attend. And then there were two other arenas post that I was quite regular to, very heavily at the time that they were open, aside from clubs. Outside of that, since my ability to attend local stuff has waned, there is a very club over in Missouri. They're kind of they're a club that's very nearby. They're in the Kansas City area. Often people are mistaken for saying that, oh, Kansas City, that's a Kansas City, right? No, most of it is up in Missouri, with a small part of it in Kansas. A lot of their wars are kind of held in either or. So it's a club for both states, really. Lovely group, very wise. They've been going strong since basically the pandemic kind of ended. They're always doing stuff. I just don't usually have the travel ability to get up there. As far as other places I've nerfed a little bit up in Washington when I visited the Out of Darts warehouse, as well as the Rag a couple times I've been there, and then up in New York when I visited for End War. Aside from that, I haven't been able to get out too much further. I almost tried to see if I couldn't make a war in Texas the one time I went, but there are a lot of lovely scenes all across the United States, outside of the United States, worldwide, and it's just interesting to see all of the different ways people play. I'd love to make it out to more places eventually.
For sure, absolutely. And I think that's a perfect segue into kind of like where we bonded and got a chance to hang out and experience the magic of foam flinging and these kind of large scale events. Yeah, we had the pleasure and opportunity, or at least I did. I may be my only year, but made it out to RAG this year, out on the West Coast in San Jose, California. My challenge is typically I work during the holiday seasons for a haunt and a Christmas thing or a holiday thing. So I'm pretty much booked up even for like my local events. I show up and then I have to take off. So it's tough during this time. But this year, schedule allowed me to have some free time to make the trip from the East Coast, Beast Coast, all the way to the Best Coast, West Coast, to San Jose for RAG. And I've heard so many great things about RAG and kind of what they do there with the HVHVZ portion and just kind of what they do there. And I was super excited. Obviously, there's a bunch of people on the West Coast that don't get a chance to make it to the East Coast, or that have. So just returning the favor. But it was great to see a lot of people that I've interacted with online, and then actually had a chance to meet them over on the West Coast. So I fully myself intended to go as a participant, as a guest, and to soak in the entire weekend as much as possible. Again, because this might have been my only opportunity to go. So that's exactly what I did. So if you saw me there and I was running around and didn't get a chance to say hi or have any long conversations, I do apologize. But I was having fun. So sorry, not sorry at the same time. But yeah, so again, I want to thank all the organizers, specifically the organizers and sponsors. I have a list. So J Mom, who we've had on as guest recently, her husband Kurt, and they had us over at their house at some point. So thank you for having us as guest. Kurt is the genius mastermind behind all the tech, generally speaking, at Ragnarok. A lot of high tech, or I don't know if it's high tech, but it's very impressive, and it works. So I would love to see more of that stuff. Got a chance to sit down and pick his brain about how that works and things. So that was exciting. J Mom, again, her and her crew ran a fantastic job setting up the event itself and the logistics and running things on schedule. Tarek was fantastic. May arguably be the best game master, game. I don't know what you would call it, designer. But yeah, fantastic HVZ. Had a chance to sit down and pick his brain as well, and learned a lot of things as far as designing HVZ games and what goes into it, balancing, and yeah, again, I do Maryland Mayhem, so I have an idea, but again, getting different insight to how they operated over at RAG was really kind of my favorite part. The comp, Jangular, it was great. Unfortunately, I didn't get much chance to talk to Jang in the heat of battle, and of course, was setting up things. His buddy Eric, I want to give a shout out to Eric, who was helping out running the comp. Extremely helpful and insightful. I love the way they all communicated. The entire comp officiating team, check-in, everyone that was involved, fantastic job. Casual Felon, huge shout out to the Foam Nation. Casual Felon, it was a great seeing you again. You may have grown taller actually since I've last seen you, but yeah, that was great getting a chance to talk shop with you. Again, I think we all kind of have the same vision for kind of where potentially we can head in the future. So I'm planning to have Casual Felon come on the show at some point and talk shop. Fish ran. Fish needs an award or a pay for something. Fish was running around doing photos. Fish.pic. The photos are up on the Ragnarok Discord, and I think some links around. If not, I'll make sure to share that. But very, very glamorous professional photos. I don't think anyone can do it better. Arguably, the entire weekend, I made it in a couple of fantastic photos. Also, the stream, once again, the stream, top notch, looks very pretty. So again, Casual Fella and Fish, thank you for what you do. The sponsors, Out of Darts, Luke, Dr. Flux, Coney, Perry, and Luchathor. Got a chance to see them, play with them. Fantastic as always, seeing and hanging out with them. Had a lot of fun actually getting a chance this time to run around the Stalking Dead with them and doing some shenanigans. So keep an eye out for some footage. But yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. They provided ammo. They provided the Build-A-Kit demo session. Shout out to Merge Masters. They did a demo as well. So it was great seeing them. Xbox Games, of course. Joe Fox and Amy were there. Can't have a fun HVC without them. I know they had a great time. Again, great running with them. Silver Fox, shout out to Silver Fox again. Uber, 5-star review. Ohio, can't thank you enough for actually being our Uber driver essentially for the entire weekend, and we bonded over our love for Power Rangers. So super excited about that. Ryan and Jesse, again, Silver Fox I mentioned. Russell, thanks for wearing the mascot. That was a lot of fun. Great time hanging out the entire Silver Fox crew, and Rocket. Andrew Rocket. Rocket, was great seeing you again, as always. You are probably the most zen, chill person I know in the hobby. So thank you for your energy. It was great. And let's see. I'm just going on. It was a pleasure. Like I said, I had a chance to compete in the comp. Unfortunately, the way the match is up, we ended up playing the same team twice. But I want to give a shout out to Target Rich Environment. They're a new team from Utah. I'm actually going to be having G, one of the players from Utah, as a guest on an upcoming Foam Zone. Super awesome energy, super awesome vibes. I want to talk shop. They design blasters. There is a mortar. There is literally a mortar that they created. I am going to be posting the video soon. My audio did not come out. I'm a little salty about that, but I'll post the video. But yeah, Target Rich Environment, their crew, shout out to Utah. Comp team, first time. So that was a lot of fun getting to meet them. Also, the other comp teams, Void. Void was the other team we had a chance to play. Shout out to them. Great match. And then shout out to the winners of the actual comp. First place, three-peat, Red Tide. What can I say? They proved it. So congratulations for the three-peat, Red Tie. Second place, Dauntless. Dauntless came in second place. And the finals was Foam Under Lights. It was amazing. It was a little bit chilly, but the gameplay, I don't know if the stream is still up, but if you go to Twitch, hopefully it's still up, or I'm sure someone will post some highlights. But that last finals match, that's what comp is all about. I'm super excited to see where comp develops. And again, it was great to see kind of West Coast, how they play comp versus East Coast. There's definitely a style. I say we get rid of all this kumbaya stuff and let's get to business. This is sports entertainment. Let's do this. All right. Yeah. So shout out to all the winning teams. Yeah, again, fantastic time. Shout out to Mobile Foam Fights for supplying the inflatables for the HVZ and for the Sunday battle as well. Yeah, just anyone that was involved. I'm sure I'm missing names and not giving enough credit where credit is due. But yeah, thank you so much. I had a wonderful time at RAG, and I hope at some point I'll be able to make it back. But Grimz made it out there with me as well. Or I should say we joined up and we combined forces. Grimz, let's talk about RAG. How was it for you?
Okay. Well, RAG, definitely, of the events I get the pleasure of going out to, is definitely my favorite. I can definitely say that after being there twice now. Of the two I've been, it's been one of the highlights of my year every year. the fact that there, I mean, every HVZ has a theme, but the level of detail that goes into there, and to trying to bring forth something on the actual HVZ itself. You have your blaster convention, which is very well put together. You have a comp tourney that is considered, I would consider, extremely solid, especially with it being under the purview of the Blaster Tag Association, an organization that's been around longer than most groups that are organized, I think, have been around, that are still around. Facts. I think Jangular does an excellent job with managing all of that. The comp game is very, very entertaining to watch. The changes they made to this year were especially so. But also, I just kind of like the vibe of the weekend when you show up, the people you meet, kind of circling back to community. That's one of the hobbies. You can kind of just show up, you make some new friends, and the next thing you know, you're tired as all get out, and I guess you all decided to go to a Denny's, and then tomorrow you're going to go fling blasters at each other, and you've made a couple new friends, albeit over a little weirdly timed breakfast food. But that's how it goes. It was an absolutely, and it could not have been made better without having you, Al, Maritime, all of the individuals we had with us that we brought along. And I'm sure Ohio agrees that the company was most appreciated. You guys were an absolute ball to hang out with, especially getting to know you in particular. It was really nice to see, like, kind of like you said, realizing that there was a lot of commonalities and things we appreciate about the hobby and where we want to see it going, or just generally making new friends. That's kind of the part that's really fun about this hobby, is if people actually hang out with each other and are friends, whereas it can get I know there is senses of community and other stuff in other flinging hobbies like airsoft and other things, but it feels different. There's something very whimsical and joyful about a lot of the friendships you make in the foam blasting hobby here that I just really appreciate. My journey for packing for RAG was certainly an interesting one, because I was trying to get a costume ready, and I had to plan with the fact that I knew I was going to be spending about 75% of my time for the 2 weeks I was there in 40 degrees, and then I was going to spend about the remaining 25% in about 80-degree weather in California. I also learned this time I need to get a bigger carry-on. I tried bringing a blaster that Ryan had made me per my commission as a HVZ blaster, but alas, even without its barrel, it was far too long. This is my slab. I don't know how well it'll show on camera, so I'll try and let it focus too well. There's an imprint in there, which is a logo for people who know of it. That is for Spam Squad, if anyone remembers Spam.
Spam.
Dear FoamCon director. The name on the little bars here reads Cassiel. It is derived from a angel from mythology. I try to, of the blasters I get done by Ryan, I try to have them semi-bright, but I kind of divide them up into two. If they are a more older style blaster, they'll get a more serious tone name, and the palette's slightly more dark, as in there'll be some wood colored accessories. But the other blaster that was made for last year's RAG that I didn't get to run, only because of a small error, was this other Dan pistol. This Dan pistol Ryan made for me. This one is themed after the Red Ranger.
Nice.
It was to be my last year's RAG primary. The problem is the little thing right here, this fidlock holster mount. It's a accessory by Liza. Now, it works spectacularly, but because it's made for square, it's not compatible with the actual Dan pistol hardware kit. So we got to RAG last year and started assembling it, and then we're like, wait, this does not go in the square hole. This is a hexagonal hole. Hold on, this might be a problem. And so alongside him reprinting it, Ryan, being the spectacular friend that he is, went ahead and reprinted many of the parts for that. And so he handed it off to me at this RAG. What I ended up running was this, which is running a couple cylinders that Ryan graciously printed off for me. This Ace of Spades. Fully stock. Didn't shoot very far. but it was very fun to use. The other thing many people can probably say is,
most importantly, right?
no, mine is not brushless.
Oh, that's not the brushless one. That's not the brushless one.
I used the stock one. See, that was the funny thing. Because Ryan had a brushless one and I had a stock one, because I revved it, some people would just assume I had a brushless one in hand, and they'd kind of flinch back. And I also had out Vile's integration outlaw that fired 2 mega darts. So when you see a guy rolling up with 2 of those blasters and you start revving one of them and you think it might be brushless, some of the zombies kind of would just go back and they wouldn't actually approach, despite the fact I, in fact, only had 1 dart left in the chamber. And that reload would have taken about 3 seconds to do. It was very fun, though. But HVZ, I think you can attest, Blue Team was a interesting dynamic and very fun to run around the campus. Last year, Blue Team was quite a bit more organized, but I would say Blue Team this year was a lot more chaotic, but it was still entertaining nonetheless. I know many of our group got tagged out very early on, but that's part of the charm of HVZ. You know, you all end up on the winning team, really.
Is that what happened? I didn't even notice, honestly. I was literally running around the entire time. I did want to shout out, I forgot to mention Pierre from the Nerf's Mod group on Facebook. Thank you so much for giving us a ride to lunch, and also for snagging me lunch because my card wasn't working. Appreciate you. Also, Beret was there. Beret, wasn't expecting to see Beret there, so that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, my foamies, my roommates, Alda Geek, you mentioned it, and Maritime Foam. It was great, again, it's always great to go anywhere with Al, but specifically Maritime this time. Getting a chance. I don't know if many of you know, but again, we're kind of talking about community and kind of bringing together people and having that opportunity. But I had a great conversation with Maritime. Both our fathers passed recently. I didn't really make it publicly known, but Maritime has. But again, we had a chance to sit down, and I don't think you get that kind of chance to connect with people in a lot of opportunity. In other situations. So again, a testament to kind of what this hobby can do and kind of how it brings people together. It's pretty amazing. So again, thank you to everyone that was involved in the weekend of RAG, whether you were a organizer, sponsor, donor, player, just anything that has anything to do with the hobby. Fantastic time. But yeah, we were on Blue Team, and it was chaotic. Again, my first time playing HVZ, and I loved it. I loved everything about how RAG HVZ was ran. If you have not had a chance to experience it, definitely go out there and give it a try. A lot of fun. I wish I had dressed up had I known. That is one thing next time I will do. I will make sure to embrace the theme a little bit more. I came ready to run and escape from zombies, but I will definitely have a hat of some sort next time for it. So, but yeah, what did you think? What was this was your not your first time, but overall, how would you say this compared to at least for the Stalking Dead portion? How do you think it compared? Or let's go back a little bit. Was there anything at the Blaster Expo that you saw specifically that you were excited about? I mentioned already the mortar that Target Rich Environment presented, but was there anything else that you were really excited about or caught your eye?
There was actually a lot of stuff. So I'm actually having to scroll back through my phone to kind of jog my memory because I took like little snippets kind of things. But I think definitely the nice to actually see in person was Mr. Heath Pants's Helldiver's autocannon.
Oh,
that big thing. We've already covered it before on the news, and people have all seen it by now. But man, is that thing just a sweet piece of design work. The mortar, also very cool. Another thing that was in the table right next to it that really caught my eye, I had already kind of heard of it. I believe he's going to be one of the testers. But Flywheel the World working on a PCB that you can input with blasters to kind of get them to fire and integrate it with Twitch chat, so you might be able to redeem something. The dart blaster then fires at the streamer, then creating a haptic kind of entertaining that can work for streams. Or other purposes that it might be used for. And I just think the technology, the fact that you can kind of potentially send a signal to remote fire blaster is just very novel, and the fact that they're trying to make something that's modular that can be integrated into different designs and done with different things. Flywheel the World is always cooking up something interesting. The mortar was neat. I'm looking through all these different things. I stopped by the Merge Masters booth. A lot of stuff from Xbox games that we're going to be covering, like the big old ammo boxes. I think one of them isn't even on the shop yet, I don't think, for the Boxer, like how big the really big boy was. I don't know if that was a for sale unit or if this was just a image. This is going to probably not show up well on camera.
No, knowing Xbox games, it's probably for sale. Everything's for sale.
Oh yeah, everything's probably for sale. It was huge though. It was like twice the size of the original ammo box, and I was just like, good lord. I know Out of Darts had that big shotgun, the double-barreled Stagecoach, which was a break action. I know a couple of other shops are going to be carrying it, but that one was also a sight to behold. Gave me very much Doom Super Shotgun vibes. Obviously, you had Al doing his usual thing that I absolutely adore. His paintwork is a staple of this hobby at this point. He's been around for just as long as I have, if not longer, perfecting his craft. We had your booth that, to my knowledge, I hear was semi-sporadic and unexpected to have for the Maryland Foam Alliance. That was quite,
I don't know what I was doing. I was just there for moral support.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you need to do. And obviously, SFI had their awesome booth with their Raijin and Fujin wheels that they were showing off, and all of the any real parts that someone might need on day of an event. They love to bring up their whole shop and kind of just give have accessories there available for people with blasters. I think that's just a really novel thing. Containment Crew often does that on the East Coast. They did that, and I distinctly remember they did that with their 2022 End War booth. Containment Crew, if you needed something, they probably had it. And it's a very nice role that both of those two shops play at events. I see you bringing out your big ammo boxes there.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. Xbox Games was so gracious enough to gift me one of their ammo boxes, and again, like the print quality and just overall. Oh, this one actually fits onto this one. But yeah, so yeah, you can just kind of see the size comparison of the box versus the one that comes with the Boxer. So really good stuff, and again, print quality super impressive, but also the mod for the top handle trigger. So super excited to do that install. Thank you so much, Xbox. Also, I think it should be noted that Out of Darts and Xbox, Out of Darts provided all the ammo for the event. Is that confirmed?
Yeah, I do believe they provide all of the ammo, because I know they did in 2024, so the last year I was there. And this year, I do believe they provided all of the darts. I know, and then Xbox Games also was a major sponsor. There were a lot of sponsors, but I know Out of Darts' typical role, one of the main things is the darts. Out of Darts is, in fact, very much not Out of Darts.
They might be for a little bit after this event.
Just a little bit after, yeah, somewhere in there.
I'm trying to do the math, actually, because I'm thinking something similar for Maryland. So if anyone knows the actual numbers, please let me know. I would like to know. So
I remember the day after Stalking Dead, I think Tarek actually brought up some numbers when we visited J-Mom's house. So you might actually be able to ask Tarek, and he probably just has a way to like pull up how many darts were in the pool. He might be willing to talk to you on that. I'm not sure. That'd be a good way of kind of figuring things out for your event. I mean, that's just one of the great things about this hobby. A lot of people are just kind of willing to share information to help other people kind of get what they're wanting to do going, so that way we can have more cool things out there for everyone to enjoy.
Absolutely. But again, thank you, Out of Darts, for supplying the ammo for the event. That's amazing. So again, let's talk a little bit about kind of the Stalking Dead or or did we mentioned everything that we saw at BlasterCon that we liked?
Yeah.
Or BlasterCon. Yeah. Then let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Stalking Dead and kind of just general game mechanics and for people that haven't experienced it. Again, this is an HVHVZ, so humans versus humans, I guess versus humans, 3 teams against zombies, which is really unique. Ammo is provided and allotted, 50-piece of ammo per player. And again, everything is registered and checked in. The really impressive thing, as I mentioned, J-Mom's husband, Kurt, the genius behind the tech, is that they RFID track your stats and yourself for player points and tags and everything like that by using Wi-Fi and setting up hubs and spots and having scanners. Very sophisticated for something like this event, and very impressive. And you get a key fob basically and just go ahead and scan in, you check in, and everything's tracked. So that I think was very unique in itself, on top of the team versus team aspect of it. What are some other things about Ragnarok that makes it unique, and again, your experience overall with it?
Aside from the RFID tech, which I think is very handy for making everything scorekeeping wise, I think not only just the campus, but I'll kind of just glaze over this section just briefly, so that way I can kind of move on to some of the other bits. But one of my favorite sections of it is actually the end with the boss fight that they do. They've not always had one, but ever since they've done it since, having a boss mechanic with some pseudo, it kind of ticks off the MMO player kind of thing in my brain, where there are mechanics to defeat a boss while you're also having to deal with enemies, that being the other opposing zombies, the people who are still on the zombie squad, the people who have amassed in the horde, while you're trying to defeat these almost inconquerable odds of a terrifying boss that is both firing at you, has a large health pool, has mechanics to take down, and you're at your wit's end, your ammo's running scarce. It just leads for a very satisfying finale to a game. But some of the other different things that can happen
and it's at night.
Yeah, at night too. At night too, of all things. It's very low visibility. I tend to wear these little shades here, as I've been known to wear over the years, many years at this point. I was wearing a pair because it made sense for my costume. That did not lead well into a boss fight, because you see very well. That was the same problem I ran into last year, and I knew that going into it. It was okay. I knew my way around the campus by that point. I kind of knew where I was standing and everything else like that. It was fine. Other neat little things. A new addition this year was if you did little challenges, you acquired pins, little medals, if you will, for doing things. These were just ones I got for, I think, assisting with the Blaster convention, I think for outfit. There were many others, some of which I did not, most of which I didn't earn, but I think you could score up to 20 medals, each for different things, whether it be shooting someone at high noon or taking part in mini games and different placements, depending on if your team won the highest amount of score before it became just one giant team and whatnot. I think part of the other interesting part is ammo is scarce and kind of divvied out. So there's kind of a limited pool to keep track of. You can't just kind of massive amount of ammo and then just you're golden. You have to kind of work for it a little bit. You have to cash it in. And part of the theme of this year was that, well, the gold was a little cursed. That's what led to the Eldritch things that then led to the boss. Ironically enough, I got handed a lot of currencies from the event after. I don't know what this poker chip was exactly for, because I didn't get to that part. I do have one gold coin for 1 coin. And then I have a gold coin for 5, and I know 5 initially could buy you a extra life, and eventually it would get swapped to 10 later on. But it was also kind of your lifeblood for getting ammo. Many of these little things that you work with throughout the entire HVZ, as it were, I think makes for a very immersive kind of immersive engage with it kind of experience. You're dealing with currency, ammo collection, scarcity, quests, puzzles, objectives, lore building, all on one campus, while you're also duking it out against other players and zombies. And I think it just leads to such a very fun experience.
So fun, so fun. Again, it's really kind of hard to explain, and I don't know if videos and photos necessarily do it justice. So if you haven't had a chance to experience The Stalking Dead from Ragnarok, definitely put it on your bucket list. Highly, highly recommend. And then before we talk about FNC, let's just briefly touch upon the comp, because again, comp is evolving, and again, to kind of see what I saw from last year, BTA King of the Hill, which is now Hold the Hill, is the new game mechanic. It's just impressive to see how much has evolved. A lot of tech that comes from comp play ends up coming into regular play technology as well. So it was just really exciting. And again, having helped design kind of the comp scene on the East Coast with Flag Dash and the Maryland Foam tournament, and then to see other game types like Hot Pot and King of the Hill and now Hold the Hill being played, and those starting to evolve, and kind of how everything's kind of I don't know. It's really exciting to see, and I had a chance to step out on the comp build for a second, which was a lot of fun. Definitely outmatched by a lot of these younger, faster, very serious, engaged comp players. But it's the competitive nature, it's the innovation and technology that's involved with tuning your blaster to its finest, and then it's also the camaraderie and team building that you get with when you're competing with the team. I think that is the appeal. And that was definitely on display at Ragnarok this past weekend. And I had a great time. And I think one of their cool mechanics that they added this year was the technology of a timer. Essentially, they had 5 timers for each player that was playing, and you would have a respawn timer essentially. And just kind of seeing how that worked was impressive. With it, essentially, you're not building a blaster, but you're building a timer, but solenoids and everything that you would put into blaster technology is going into these other things that we're using for the hobby. So again, really fantastic. And again, competition, it's really hard to describe, but yeah, you were kind of representing and helping Silver Fox team out. So what was your experience?
So generally, I would have a little bit more to say on the comp experience, but I actually wasn't there for a lot of it. I was there for the beginning and a touch at the end, but I actually got an opportunity which doesn't come up very often, where I got to see some dear friends of mine that I don't get to see very often out in California. However, what I can say for the bit I was there, I definitely like the approach for Hold the Hill over the previous kind of game mechanic system. Having been for the full tournament last year, I remember that distinctly. There were 2 buckets near each person's kind of spawn or where they might have started, and then there was one in the middle. Now, where you kind of had a gimme bucket, unless you were really kind of owning the other team, and then the contentious middle point, which led to scores kind of being a little odd, at least in my opinion. With the introduction of there only being 2 and them both kind of being adjacent to each other, you kind of had to run out there to go get to them. There was no free bucket, really. It was about how you could kind of hold the area, and if you could actually make it work and how long you could make it work for. You had people on to the bucket, and if you were lankier and smaller, you were more ideal for that. You even had some people who were laying upside down, holding the button and trying to send cover fire behind themselves, that they had everything kind of under control and that they were still holding the point. The respawn timer, or the respawns for the players, I believe, was changed slightly. The technology for that was changed slightly, I think, from the last year before. The change to have people chronograph their blaster every single time before they went on to a comp actual round, I think, was a good idea, albeit the chronograph was a little undercharged, leading to some weird numbers. I think that's a good idea in general, and one that I think should stick around going forward, because it leads to just ensure, not that I would say that there would be foul play, it just ensures that it's not happening and that it isn't going to happen, because you're having to clock in your blaster before every match, and just ensuring that everything is kind of very orderly. It's a competition at the end of the day, and so making sure that it's all sportsmen and everything is kind of moving as it should. I think it's a good direction to be going in for the
For sure. And I have some ideas just after kind of seeing it in action and play testing. I'd be interested into seeing kind of, a one life situation, but you're running through a whole roster essentially for that. And then, so you're not respawning, but everyone gets to play. I'd like to kind of see that element. I loved, the aspect of actually having to hold the hill and then allowing the defense to kind of dig themselves out of that hold, essentially, if they have that opportunity. So again, a lot of innovation, again, based off of what was going on last year to what they did this year. So always growing, always exciting to see. And again, if you haven't seen some of these teams play, Red Tide, Dauntless, Orca Company, Podium Soup, all three of those teams, fantastic. Watch gameplay footage, a lot of fun, and really great people too. But I'll be honest, I'm kind of at the point, again, I want to see this evolve. I want to see more teams. I want to see more dynamics. We were talking to Casual Felon at some point, and, the point it was made, arguably, shooting and, doing that stuff where we're at is kind of the easy part. But when we get to the point where we have, like, not to say we don't, but where we are essentially dominated by nothing but athletes that are athletes first, that can run, communicate, and be cohesive as a team, even before they touch a blaster to begin with. That's kind of what I'm excited and looking forward to seeing, if that is something that ends up being evolved, because that's kind of where I see kind of the sports entertainment kind of coming into play here. And again, I think that's kind of where, we want to legitimize things and head towards that direction. So, but you got to start from somewhere, and between Hold the Hill and Hot Pot and Flag Dash, it's getting pretty exciting. So, all right. Again, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Let's see who we got. Austin Green is in the house. Hello, Zeal. Looks like Silver Fox has joined us. Welcome. Go Slow Taco is back in the house. Yeah, we have none other than Grimz, not to be mistaken for Gims mods. Which I do apologize for. Oh, I also do have to apologize I don't know if the West Coast was necessarily ready for my coaching style during the stream. I didn't entirely read the room when I was there, but I do apologize if there was an issue for my yelling or what I was yelling. But again, go hard or go home. We're playing comp, right? So let's talk, or actually, did anyone have any question? Someone wants you to flash the nails, if you don't mind. All right. And then a couple people had asked this question, and we'll go into it because it's regarding FNC. But yeah, we'll try to get Gims on here. AJ Alex Usog is asking. Let's see. So let's just ask answer a couple of these questions before we get into FNC. Go Slow Taco. Colin is asking, how do you reduce the barrier of entry into the foam sport money-wise? I know people didn't like being stuck with the DZ blasters in 2022, but could there be a set blaster that everyone uses? That's a good question. Yeah. I mean, we were kind of talking about hobby and where it's going and accessibility and things like that. But we might as well go ahead and answer that question since we have it in the live chat.
I think this question has a lot of different answers, and it can go a number of ways. because if we're talking at the very least old hobby, you would have the ye old Nightfinder bucket. Someone modding a bunch of Nightfinders or loners and divvying them out so that way everyone can kind of all participate and at least have some standard level of performance with each other. Nowadays, there's so many things that are a dime a dozen. It gets a little bit. I think it would be good to encourage, if it's not already a standard with some clubs, to kind of just get back into that spirit of having that loner bin that like truly is something that's competent to use. I think another thing that would be nice, I know it's not necessarily the most financially viable for a lot of shops, but a lot of those old blasters that people have still, every now and again, there's someone who's going to show up with one and say, how do I make this fire a little better? And well, the worker parts are a little bit harder to acquire now for certain things. Orange Modworks is gone, and so is many of the other things. So I think at least having somebody who's vaguely familiar with tuning up those kinds of things who can assist somebody is also would also be quite good, because sometimes all you need is a simple spring swap really to just kind of get yourself up there the barrier to entry. But I also think Dartzone has been killing it with whether it be, all you really need is even a single shot blaster to be performant, something like the Solo Pro or the Cricket, anything like if you want to go to their Nexus Pro X. X Shot is absolutely killing it with their Fury X and their Long Shot. Both are great barrier to entry, like more affordable blasters. But I generally just think as well, on top of the actual first party blasters, strengthening the ability for people to have accessibility to parts to tune up something they might have that's old, and loaner buckets, how we used to do things, is just to generally everybody has some means to get into it and kind of do what we all want to do, and well, let's shoot each other with foam and have a good time.
Yeah. And I think it's easier now than ever, honestly, because you literally can go to a Walmart or Target and pick up a Pro Series blaster if you really want to, and be able to show up to a local club and be competitive, or pick up a fun blaster and have just as much fun. So really, I think there's a lot more flexibility now than there was before. And I mean, $20 for this. Yeah, 80 FPS. What are we
The
doing?
blaster cord is pretty sweet. It's very sweet.
It's the power of friendship. Let our friendship shine. I love it. But Big Riz, go Big Riz.
Absolutely.
Containment crews in the house. Charles, what is up? Thanks for joining us. We were just talking about you. Only good things, maybe.
Only good things, maybe.
So let's talk about FNC. I mean, or I guess at one point it was the PNCC, or and then evolved into the FNC. The way I look at it is, I mentioned a thank you before, but, Addy from Foam Blast essentially was our go-to news. Drac had a little piece, and we got our information from Coop as well. But essentially, Foam Blast was our kind of go-to hobby news resource that we really enjoyed. And when that went away, graciously, you guys were able to step in and present kind of a way to fill that void. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the creation of the FNC. How did this all come about? And, what's your overall approach and goal, mission? How's this different from Foam Blast? I have a million questions. And again, if anyone has questions in the live chat, go ahead and drop that down in the live chat comment section. But tell us the history of Foam News Collective.
Well, to get started really with the history, it almost goes back to when I first got into the hobby in general. Not a year or two after I got into the hobby, Jangular actually started This Week in Nerf. They ran a very tight ship and ran the show mostly solo, to my understanding. They looked for their own leaks. They uploaded their own stuff. They did it weekly, absolutely insane for me to think about, really. Self-research, self-scripted, all self-done once a week. On top of that, they also researched a community video to feature every week and a community mod to spotlight. Eventually, obviously, they then passed off the torch to Foam Blast, as we all know and love. But back then, I was enamored by the idea of this news that Jangular was putting out. Absolutely loved all the blasters that were coming out at the time, and I wanted to see how I could contribute in my own way. So I'd occasionally look for leaks or if there was anything new, or back then often blasters kind of review-wise were a bit of an arms race. So if there wasn't information out on something and I saw it at a store, I'd try and take a photo in a comment section on YouTube or like Reddit or somewhere else like that. I still remember one of the earliest or most distinct ones I can remember finding, the Modulus long strike, because I found it through Nerf Perks, the old website, because they accidentally listed it as a thing you could get for your Nerf Perk points, and they showed a photo of the old original long strike, and then eventually Cat came out of the bag. They were making a Modulus version. Fast forward to This Week in Nerf. They made a lovely, entertaining, and just genuinely awesome show to watch. They swapped to the bi-weekly rather than the weekly. They were still doing many of the things that Jangular was doing, and they had kind of made it their own. And then they needed to take a break. That's sometimes it's just how it is. Life kind of comes along and you have to move on, really. So for a while, I was kind of just sitting back patiently. I expected that someone else might kind of pick up that torch. And then there was silence for a while. Nobody really did. I mean, I'm sure there were, but there weren't many that really gained traction. And so I had kind of, due to the fact I had already had an interest in the news as a whole, I had kind of asked Addie and Michelle in their server for, hey, if someone were to do a news show, what could it look like, do you think? Is this something you'd be cool with? And obviously, of course, it was just kind of, don't call it This Week in Nerf and don't copy us, but like, yeah, absolutely. Put the information out there, spread the joy, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. I then kind of put that into my back pocket for a while. I didn't really have the kick in my pants yet to kind of get going. Fast forward a little bit, I start talking to some friends I've made along the way. You might know them, Vile. As despite what they are a person with a absolute heart of gold. I had been talking to them, Jolt, and then eventually KT, through our moderator chat, had seen us would become the FNC, and he was like, "Hey, you want a podcast?" I remember we somewhere in there later, I went up to the Flux Labs opening, and a bunch of people were talking about the state of Nerf news as a whole, and people were talking about if some of the other channels were talking about if they would be interested. I remember most people, the consensus was we're just too busy to do it. Drax seemed mildly interested, but I had kind of also put my heart kind of set on doing the news. So we spent most of the time from, I want to say, about October or September 2022, was it? 2022, planning up until a planned launch of January of 2023 of our first news episode. The idea was to try and make it be well-researched, entertaining, but something of our own. We had decided on the name of Provisional Nerf News Network because we felt it a little too much hubris, if you will, to say that we were the new news and we were going to replace Foam Blast or replace anybody or be here for good. But as you can tell by the fact that we've changed the name, we kind of realized that it's not hubris to say that you want to cover the Nerf news. Nobody necessarily is the Nerf news per se. No one's replacing anybody. This Week in Nerf was their thing. FNC kind of became our put out that we put our heart and soul into and put out there to kind of spread joy. And there are plenty of other people who also review blasters. You have your what I like to call your frontline news sources, like there's FoamQuest. They're often very early to the punch to mentioning leaks about first-party blasters. You have many other channels that consistently will mention the fact that a blaster has just leaked. FNC's role is more, and I'll pull up our little mission statement here, but our mission statement really, I think, kind of encapsulates this well. We want to produce an informative, well-researched, and entertaining news program, podcast, and accompanying media. We want to support the blaster hobby and sports. We want to raise awareness, creating technical organizational works and building up the stature of the hobby. We want to promote safety and inclusiveness. All of that we say in our mission statement with true dedication to that cause, because I think that that's kind of where our part of that story is. We're not the first to the news, and we're not the last to the news. We just want to make sure we get it most of the way there right for an audience to understand and enjoy, and kind of give people something substantial to look at and say, this is a real hobby with real presence. Here are some of the awesome things these creators are doing and what they're up to, what the name brand news are doing, what the modders are doing, what the competitive scene is doing, and kind of build that light and joy and spread it in a good manner. And that's kind of where our place in there falls. And that's just kind of what we've always done ever since. And I'd like to think that we do an at least okay job at it.
No, no, absolutely. You guys do a fantastic job, and again, it is a very well needed aspect for our community and hobby, and a luxury really to have. Thank you guys. And I don't know if people come up to you and give you credit, and but there's something very validating about being able to talk to someone that has as much insight as you do, and kind of get that information from that, and knowing that it's trustworthy, it's accurate, you have your sources available, and it's the real deal. And I don't know too many other avenues that you can get that from. So what is, or let's see whose idea, Go Slow Taco wants to know, whose idea was it to do a mission statement? Did you guys work together to draft it?
I want to say it was kind of a culmination of something that we felt needed to happen. We had made a lot of, I know a lot of the previous news organizations, if you want to call them, or channels had they had what you would call, I guess, news list. So that might not be literally everything that happened in a week. FNC, while we don't cover everything, we try to cover a broad scope of things, of so many things that we've had to actually cut down the number of things. I'm looking at the entries in the spreadsheet right now for this episode, and oh dear. Some of them are what I'm having to call super segments, because I'm having to combine them all into one segment because they're all parts for one blaster. But I think we're at like 60 something entries in the spreadsheet for this episode. So this one will be coming out a little later. But because of that, there were sometimes you just can't cover something, or you don't feel comfortable. The information doesn't feel right, and so because a lot of that is kind of, we had our internal understanding as to why we didn't, but other people didn't necessarily. And so we kept coming back to, how do we explain this to somebody? How do we explain what we do? And so KT was the person to suggest a mission statement. And a lot of what ended up in the mission statement was just generally a lot of what we already believed, just kind of put down concrete into words, and a way and manner in which someone could look at it and understand why a decision was made, really, and just kind of understand what we were all about just by quickly reading it. And I think it kind of helps understand what we are as a whole.
For sure. Absolutely. And I think it would be extremely helpful, actually, if every kind of group, club or any kind of organization has a mission statement, a clear defining mission statement, so everyone knows exactly what your goal is. CR Nerf, Bill has entered the chat room. Welcome, CR Nerf, the myth, the legend. Your shirt is next, buddy. So we are here with Grimz, talking FNC. Let's talk about. I don't think people appreciate the logistics, the challenges, everything that goes into producing a show and a podcast that you guys do. Do you want to give us some background, insight into what it takes to produce an episode and a podcast?
Yeah, sure. So for the people who, I guess, to give a really kind of in-depth background thing, due to how it's formatted, we have ourselves a anonymous response forum and an email that sometimes we get stuff through. Sometimes that can be suggestions for the episode as a whole, or just stuff in relation to correspondence with, be it sources talking to people who at one point maybe they worked at Hasbro, or maybe they're not comfortable necessarily being accredited. Sometimes there's work done on the email end there or through the anonymous feedback forum. We also generally have to speak through, we speak to creators through Instagram a lot. There's a way we found, aside from Facebook, for getting in touch with a lot of other Nerfers. That's kind of the thing with Nerfers. We're so divided in different places. Obviously, WFA seeks to kind of rectify that over time. Pardon the lighting that's coming up from the monitor above that. Activity stuff. I have, I think, about like 20 different tabs open for stuff for next episode.
You're
I was
good.
glancing through. But you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Discord. And so for the people who are on Meta platforms, we often reach out through Instagram because it kind of just, you get DMs on both ends. So it's just easier to kind of reach out that way. They're likely on both. But reaching out to people, be it for guest hosting or just for sourcing or asking questions about stuff, we'll reach out through there. So when we have an episode, we try and plot out every 2 weeks that are going to be there for a certain quarter of the year. So right now I'm looking at projected release dates or start dates for a production cycle for an episode. We have it highlighted in red as to whether or not there was going to be a guest presenter. Green if one occurred. We type in a name if they are projected to be there for that date, and then if we're not doing a show on that. And then we have like little additional notes. So we try and schedule out things even months in advance sometimes. Things have gotten a little bit more closely to the wire lately, but we try hosts. And then you get to your off week, you know, I call it an off week, but it's not really an off week. You're not doing anything necessarily actively, but you're kind of seeing what is up in the hobby, what people are doing, what kind of news is going on, are coming in. In past years, we would have collected this information up until the Thursday during the week of production. Production week starts the week of release. Technically, it started the Sunday of that week. You start getting, you write everything down into a massive spreadsheet kind of what the topics are, whether it's name brand news, whether it's hobby news, whether it's community or half lengths. You put them all in there. We source where it is in the Discord. We source where links for it are online, as then put who all contributed in that thread, important topic. And then you get to script drafting. You draft some scripts. Then usually we'll go through a process of editing and looking at the script, trying to see if there are any ways we can tighten it up, make it more entertaining, more interesting. KT will often give a final pass over them. Then we get to recording. You get a couple takes of that in. And then at least currently with how it goes, you will have kind of 2 levels or layers of editing. We usually leave some editing notes for Katz, our editor, first pass over all of these segments that are individualized, and then Vile does the final cut, if you will. So he does the actual completion of the credit scroll, outro, bloopers, intro, and then sequencing everything together and normalizing all the audio levels, essentially. And at any point between that, usually you can find most of the hosts together in a call, and we're often kind of just shooting ideas back and forth with each other. It's how you get like random bit ideas for a segment that come in last minute, or random things like calling the Radson XL peak and then an image of peak popping up on screen for like 2.2 seconds or something random, or some other random editing trick that we decided that we were going to use for a segment. Or sometimes in those calls that happen during the script drafting phase, it's how you get stuff like Mesotheliomnia, where KT and I and a bunch of everyone else are just like, what if we took the Omnia recalls and like turned it into a mesothelioma? Just get everyone on all cylinders kind of firing, bouncing back and forth creatively, kind of building some segment together. It's a lot of cooperation. And then comes, you know, the episode release. There's a lot. You have your thumbnails getting drawn up. Usually I do those. Someone does descriptions, timestamps, linking, crediting, everything, creating a title, tags, and then release comes. I go to bed usually right a bit before episode release, KT is usually up and at work. Vile's probably still asleep, but we'll be waking up shortly after. And when we wake up, the episode is there, and we see we've officially done the news for people for that week. It's a lot of work, but it's very satisfying to know that you can put something out there consistently for so long that has meant something to people. You know, it's information that people might not otherwise have the time to go gather up. And it's greatly in part to the fact that we have such a generous Discord that is willing to help us and the effort of kind of getting these stories even found to begin with. So that way we can kind of get them out there and figure out what needs to be covered, or all these other people that help us along the way. And that's why we put such a big emphasis on crediting people for stuff, because realistically, we may be the ones presenting and scripting, but the show doesn't happen without any of the people who help us along the way. It's why our Ko-Fi supporters, we call them viewers like you. I remember the old PBS ads where they'd say, and this is thanks to viewers like you. Thank you. And I think there was some image somewhere where it showed holding up the earth, essentially. And so for a while, when we had the Discord role emotes for a while, and we were able to have them, we had that image under the viewers like you role, and anyone who was subscribed to the Ko-Fi would get that role in the server, the viewers like you role, on top of the actual thing from the Ko-Fi. We put a lot of emphasis on kind of appreciating, even if we don't necessarily do it until the credits scroll, the people who make up the foundation that leads to having this news program. You know, it's not just me, it's not just Vile, it's not just KT, it's not just Cats. It's a community that builds this. It's a collective, if you will.
Absolutely. And again, kind of what I've been saying with the WFA, it takes a village. It really does. No one can do it themselves. You know, we were talking at length in conversation of, you know, there's a whole other untapped demographic market that we haven't even thought about, just because, you know, we're kind of a tight-knit niche hobby community. But, you know, like there's a whole other aspect of the mass market, people that watch PDK and Aaron Esser and Sophie Lightning, and you know, how do they, you know, how do we get them into the hobby and provide them with the information that's privy, you know, to the people that are down the rabbit hole as much as we are. You know, so what challenges, you know, where do you see FNC in the near future? What are your goals? You know, what are you guys looking to do? Another question is, of course, I'm sure you've heard it, where has KT been? So, but yeah, where is this all leading to? Where do you see this going?
So as to where do I see this going, that's kind of an interesting one, because I would say most of what we've wanted to do, we've either done or are doing. But what I'd really like to see, kind of from putting the collective in Foam News Collective, is I'd like to get more people on the show as like guest hosts, generally speaking, so that we have more kind of ways of presenting, showing up, and more faces for people to know from the community who are presenting this information. Aside from that, generally speaking, I just like to get the word out there more and to really continue doing what we're doing and spreading this kind of information and joy for the hobby for as long as we can. I've said this internally a lot. I think now the Foam News is no longer a relay race, or not a relay race, but rather a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a kind of a series, if you will. It's meant to, we want it to continue for a long time. And so to have it go on for a long time, it means we need to make sure that all of our goals are kind of being made with the idea of longevity in mind. Because if we're not doing that and we're not being responsible for our own health and our own livelihoods and our own lives, then we can't continue to spread that message out there. And in a sense, we're kind of letting the hobby down by just simply getting too close to the sun. At that point, you're pushing yourself too hard, too fast, and then there is no news. There's no amount of knowledge that we can continue to provide if we're all burnt and tapped out. So the main primary goal, at least right now in this stage, is really keeping that steady pace, as Vile is saying in chat, really. And that kind of answers the question of what happened to KT. KT is still here. He's still helping. He does the scripts finalizing of the edits. Still, they often are there for the teasers. They're helping in the production process a little along the way. They just have had to take a step back from writing their own stories and appearing on the show to a significant degree due to the fact that they have had a lot of stuff going on in real life and a level of burnout on their own, as many creators often take. And thus is sort of the luxury of having a bevy of hosts that you can swap in and out when times are tough. That's what you have friends for, to kind of carry a little bit more of that load for a while. So that way, when you come back, things are still good. The lights are still on. Vile's also had a lot of things kind of going on in their own personal lives, so they haven't been able to appear on as well. But I made it very clear to both of them that I was very keen on keeping things going, and that even though there might be a couple stories that have to get trimmed here and there just to make sure it's a little bit more digestible, or episodes might change release date, I was very intent on keeping the news going, and it would still be there when they got back, essentially. It's a lot of kind of that, really. So TLDR, they're still here. They'll be back eventually for sure. It's just right now they have life, and that's kind of how things go, Well,
it was great to get an answer for people that were wondering about KT, still around. But yeah, just want to thank Vile again for everything that you do with and without the helmet, and Jolt at when they were involved. Fantastic. Again, kind of this team effort and providing this service for everyone to be informed and again kind of share our passion for the hobby that is foam flinging. I think we're about at that time. If anyone has any last minute questions or anything they would like to say, please go ahead and drop them down in the live comment section. But yeah, I mean, we'd have conversations. I think the WFA and myself, again, we kind of share the same goals with FNC in trying to promote and just really kind of showcase the community, the hobby, and really just the fun that can be had with adults and kids running around with blasters, So, all my videos, I try to, lately, just been trying to spam as much fun content as much as possible across all fields, whether it be just silly videos or gameplay videos, or but really just kind of showcasing the personality and the community that is the hobby. It's not necessarily the blasters, but it's really the people. So and you are people, and FNC is people, and it takes a village. We've been saying this again. I'd like to do a call to action. Obviously, you mentioned what it takes to produce a show. It's legit. If anyone has done any production work or has had to work in production work for producing a show, exactly what you described is exactly how you do it. But again, it takes a village. So let's do a little call to action. If you need help, if people want to contribute to FNC, or what's the best way we can all kind of start doing this together and winning together.
Best way to assist us really is to either shoot us an email and reach out, but primarily my preferred method for contacting us is we have a ticket system in our Discord, or just DMing one of the hosts in the Discord. I will probably respond. We need people, as you mentioned. If you want to be a guest host of some variety, we're more than interested to entertain the idea of having more and more guest hosts on as things go on. That's always a help, especially if you can write your own scripts. Potentially a dedicated script writer who will actually look at the segments with us and kind of work with us to write a first pass of scripts. That would be monumentally helpful. or just someone in general who can help us keep our spreadsheets up to date. Just anything of those sorts, or anyone, if you're skilled in any of the stuff I mentioned for back-end production, it would be greatly appreciated. We're not quite doing the podcast right now for a while, so that not so much for that, but particularly for the show production itself. If any of you guys are interested, now more than try and reach out. And we have always been and will always be ever so grateful to all of the support you guys have given us. You guys truly make the collective in Foam News Collective. So thank you.
Awesome. Someone was excited. Geo Zombie is excited about the mention of spreadsheets. So maybe you'll be hearing pretty soon. So again, Grimz, awesome. This is not as awesome as it was to meet you and hang out with you in person, but this is the next best thing. I look forward to hanging out with you more, talking more. Again, goals are aligned, so we'll be talking more about what we can do to collaborate. Not only with myself, but with the WFA and all that stuff. Where can people find Grimz and FNC and more information?
So for FNC, you should be able to type in I believe, let me check here. In YouTube, we have the @ of @Nerf_news or Foam News Collective. You can search us under. So all of our news is provided there. There should be a link tree, I believe, linked on just about any episode that has all of the accompanying Foam News Collective socials and anything related to that. As for myself, you can also find me linked under there. I should be one of the channels listed if you scroll down under the Nerf News family. Grimz Nerf Works, that is Z, Nerf Works. I don't really post there anymore, mostly because my role in the hobby, I feel most fulfilled doing the Foam News Collective. So I've been kind of just focusing on that primarily. Aside from that, you can see me in Discord oftentimes, just kind of lurking around. Same name, Grimz, or it's Grimz oftentimes. Same profile picture as the one in the thumbnail. You can catch Vile on Vile Mods on Twitch and other places like that. And you can find KT as Kinetic Turtle or Family Foam Sport in many places.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you. Thank you to the entire Foam News Collective team, past, present, and future. Again, we're building community. We're building things together, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So appreciate everyone joining us this evening. Next Wednesday, we will be back with another episode of Get Off My Lawn with Al the Geek and Captain Xavier. And then I will be back the following Wednesday with our next guest to be announced. But in the meantime, friendly reminder, you're not alone. Be kind and love your family. And don't forget to have a good one, guys. Appreciate you.